One Piece, obtain the Blade of Fire at the beginning. Chapter 41, Sit here, everybody. With a smile on his face, Doflamingo respectfully led Yi Chen and the others into a room. Then beckoned to the people below to prepare refreshments. He sat alone next to him and said with a smile, "Ooh, I've heard of a great name for a long time. I heard that you killed the celestial dragons in the Chambord Islands, and you retreated in the face of the three generals, and I was frightened by your audacity and arrogance at that time, and I really wanted to meet you, but I didn't expect to see it here. There are many people in this world who want to kill the heavenly dragons, but you are the ones who can take action." Doflamingo's eyes shimmered and brightened. Whoever hears about the Chambord Islands will be shocked. Kill the dragon people, face the three major generals, and retreat with all their bodies. This is a brilliant record. And they are still a rookie pirate group, which is very powerful. For hundreds of years, there has never been a pirate group like this. It can be called unprecedented. It's just a celestial dragon, it's nothing. I'll see you kill once. Speaking of this, Yi Chen seemed to remember something, raised his head to look at Doflamingo, and said meaningfully, "But don't worry, we won't make a move on you now." Rumble. In an instant, the scene fell silent all of a sudden, and the atmosphere suddenly became eerie. Galio and Estes stared at Doflamingo. It put a lot of pressure on Doflamingo. It's just that these are nothing compared to Yi Chen's words. Doflamingo's expression stiffened. Woo, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't pretend to be Doflamingo. Although few people know the identity of your Tianlong people, there are still people who do. Doflamingo's pupils shrank, his whole body was shocked. He muttered for a moment, and said in a deep voice, "What do you want to do when you tell me this?" His identity as a Draco is known, although some people also know it. But not many people know about it, and those people are basically top executives, which can also be said to be a secret. And his identity can't be said, because the Holy Land doesn't recognize him as a celestial dragon at all. Meantime, Doflamingo didn't quite understand what Yi Chen wanted to do when he took out this thing and said. Warn him, still is. I don't want to do anything, I just talked about the topic of the Draco people, and I just remembered it subconsciously. Yi Chen smiled slightly, indifferent. Hearing this, Doflamingo's face changed slightly, his hands couldn't help but clench into fists, and his eyes flashed under his sunglasses. The next moment, when he saw Estes and Galio staring at him, Doflamingo slowly let go of his hands and said with a smile, "Woo boom, the identity of the Draco is nothing, and I have long been expelled from the Draconian, and I am no different from ordinary people now." If it were an ordinary person, Doflamingo would definitely have to do it. But in the face of Yi Chen and the others, he didn't dare to make a move. Because he knew that if he did it, he would die on the spot. Although he is very arrogant, it also depends on who he is facing. If he is facing an existence of Yi Chen's level, he also knows how to put down his posture. If he is facing ordinary people, or not too strong pirates, he is still the unscrupulous Celestia. Able to bend and stretch. It's in Doflamingo's nature. Ideographic comma. Okay, let's not talk about that. Yi Chen smiled slightly, and said softly, "Tell me something about Kaido. I heard that these guys are going to do something to us. As the king of the dark world, you should know this news." Not talking about the topic of the Draco, Doflamingo returned to normal, laughed and said, Woo, of course I know, the matter between you and Kaido in the New World has been rumored for a long time. It is rumored that Kaido is interested in Galio and wants him to join them. Speaking of which, Doflamingo looked at Galio. Seeing this, Galio smiled innocently, "Let me join them, this will never be possible, I will only follow in the captain's footsteps." As a character summoned by Yi Chen, Galio is 100% loyal to Yi Chen, and he is unwavering no matter what happens. It's a benefit from the system. Estes sneered and said, "They also want Galio to join them, not to see their own weight." Hear this. Doflamingo broke out in a cold sweat. It was not a loss that he was a pirate group that dared to make a move against the Draconians, and his tone was so big that he didn't even pay attention to Kaido of the Four Emperors. If this spreads, I don't know how many people will be scared to death. You must know that the Four Emperor pirates, Kaido's deterrent power can be regarded as the strongest. However, he then thought that these three people were facing the three major generals, and it was normal not to take the Kaido pirates in their eyes. "Oh, I don't have a good opinion of this." Doflamingo smiled and said, "But according to what I know about Kaido, once he values something, it is imperative that they will most likely attack you, so you have to be careful yourself." As one of the four emperors, Kaido is still not to be underestimated, and he is not an ordinary pirate group. "It doesn't matter," Yi Chen said lightly. "Since they want to do it, then we will give him a chance. I really want to see how strong the four emperors are." Doflamingo was shocked and silent. This group of pirates is really more arrogant than the other. It's just that he has just entered the new world, and he wants to make a move on the Kaido pirates. But they do have arrogant capital. Then, after about 3 or 4 hours, Doflamingo's men came with pointers and maps. "This is the pointer and map of the land of the moon, you can take a look." Doflamingo handed the thing to Yi Chen. After taking it, Yi Chen put it away directly. Then beckoned the two to prepare to leave. It's just that when he was leaving, Yi Chen's voice came. "I know you have a good relationship with Kaido. Tell Kaido that if you really want to do something to us, then come to the Moon Country. Where are we waiting for him?" Hear that? Doflamingo was shocked. The Crow pirates have declared war on Kaido. Doflamingo's pupils shrank, and he was shocked. That's a big deal. On one side is the emerging pirates who have repelled the 3 major generals, and on the other side is the Kaido pirates, one of the 4 emperors who have been informing the New World for a long time. If the two sides meet, it will undoubtedly be Mars hitting the Earth and shaking the whole world. Moreover, the strength of both sides is very strong. Once a war starts, it will inevitably sweep the whole world, and no matter which side wins or loses, it will affect the pattern of the world. That will influence the decision-making of many forces. For example, Doflamingo. If Yi Chen wins and Kaido is excluded, everything he has done before will be in vain, and his cooperative relationship with Kaido is not shallow. Once Kaido hangs, the entire Kaido pirates will collapse, and everything he did before will be gone. Doflamingo took a deep breath, frowned, and said in a deep voice, "Kaido may not lose, and even if he loses, he will not die. It's just that this battle really started, and the outcome is unpredictable. Even he couldn't see through this battle. After all, it's hard to say about the combat power of both sides. Only the 3-person pirate group can repel the 3 generals in the Chambord Islands after killing the celestial dragons, which shows that the strength of the 3 is extremely extraordinary, and they are definitely famous powerhouses in the New World. And Kaido is not simple. Kaido himself is known as the strongest creature in the sea, land and air, and his physique is terrifying, although he has lost many people, but no one can kill him. The Navy has tried many methods, but it still can't achieve the effect of killing Kaido, which is enough to see the horror of Kaido's physique. At the same time, when the two sides fought, it was not easy for him to decide who would win or lose. Because the combat power of the two sides does not seem to be much different. As soon as you enter the New World, you will directly challenge Kaido. No wonder these guys are called the strongest rookie pirates. Whether it is strength or self-confidence, it can be regarded as the strongest among the rookie pirates of all generations. Doflamingo's eyes flickered, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. These are some good shows. I don't know if Kaido's side will take this battle. Kaido can't pick it up. It's hard to say. If the matter of the Chambord Islands has not broken out, Kaido will definitely take it decisively. After all, the combat power of the two sides is not at the same level no matter how you look at it. At that time, the reputation of the Black Crow pirates only felt that their bounties were very high, but their strength should not be very strong. So if this incident broke out at that time, Kaido probably didn't need to go over in person, and directly sent a pirate group under his command, and they were confident that they would eradicate the Black Crow pirates. But after the Chambord affair broke out, none of this is easy to say. The 3 pirates can repel the 3 generals, which shows that they have a strength comparable to, or even surpass, the 3 generals. Although Kaido's strength is strong, he still needs careful consideration in the face of the 3 major generals. Let Kaido think about this matter for himself. Doflamingo let out a strange grin, but with that guy's character, he may not refuse. If you change to other 4 emperors, you may have to consider it. However, Doflamingo's understanding of Kaido, this guy does not refuse to fight, and now there are people who come to the door to fight, and it is estimated that he will not refuse. A new world is about to turn upside down. Leaving these words, Doflamingo walked out slowly. As long as the news of him gets out, it's basically going to shake the whole new world, and even the whole world. It is estimated that many people will pay attention to this matter. Because of this incident, it may be the fiercest and biggest battle in recent years. The other side. Yi Chen and the others walked out. Galio instantly became larger, and Estes and Yi Chen jumped directly on their backs. Then, Galio soared into the air, turning into a rainbow light that pierced through the sky, and then disappeared in front of everyone. In the air, Estes sat next to Yi Chen and asked, "Captain, that guy Kaido will take our challenge." "I'm not sure about this either." Yi Chen pondered for a moment and said, "But normally, that guy Kaido should come over. He is similar to you, and he likes to fight very much. Normally, Kaido will come over. But no one can guarantee this kind of thing. After all, anything can happen. We'll know then, and if he doesn't come then we'll go find him ourselves." Yi Chen's expression was indifferent. Although he is very few now, he is still a little confident in the face of Kaido. Following, a piece of news went out wildly and swept the world. The people of the New World, the Great Voyage and many other seas were all frightened when they learned the news. The Crow Pirates declare war on Kaido. It's really fake, the Crow Pirates directly. Kaido. It should be true, this news seems to have come from Doflamingo's side, and there is news that Doflamingo and the Crows have met. It's true, but Yi Chen, they're too crazy, right? Just arrived in the New World and did something to the 4 emperors, this is really crazy. They can even repel the 3 major generals, they have a strength, and it is normal to be crazy. I thought it would take a while for the 4 emperors to make a move, but I didn't expect Yi Chen and they couldn't wait. Now it's good looking. I don't know what Kaido's reaction is, and I heard that Kaido was originally interested in one of Yi Chen's pirate group. Kaido should go. If you do it, it will be an exciting battle in recent years, and I don't know who will win. You'll find out then. There are many opinions, each with its own opinion. However, most of them still maintain an extremely concerned attitude towards this matter, because it has been a long time since there has been a combat power of this level. Although there are people who challenge the 4 Emperor pirates every year, there are really not many pirates with the level of combat power like Yi Chen. Headquarters of the Navy. A large number of high-ranking naval officials gathered. Sengoku sat on top, crossed his hands, looked gloomy, and said, "You should have heard about the news of the New World recently, right?" The voice fell. Sitting on the sofa with a sleepy face, the pheasant said lightly, "Mr. Warring States, what happened in the New World? Could it be that those 4 emperors are fighting again? These guys are really restless, they just fought each other not long ago." New World. It was a place where monsters were pushing, and strong people from all the seas gathered, forming one force after another, led by the 4 emperors. Kaido, White Beard, Red Hair, Big Mom. The 4 great pirates are powerful, and are known as the Emperor of the Sea. That is, the 4 emperors. The leaders of these 4 forces have different personalities, and there are often contradictions, but they are generally minor contradictions, and the 2 sides rarely go to war directly. This kind of thing is rare, but it is not uncommon. And it's almost every year, but most of them will return to normal after a fight, and then it's the same situation again. On this, the pheasant thought that there was another conflict on the side of the 4 emperors, and he began to fight again. Normally, at times like this, the Navy will be very nervous, although they want all these guys to die, but for various reasons, they don't really want these guys to die, or lose both. Pheasant, you don't pay much attention to the news this time. The yellow ape said in a strange tone, holding his mouth. Recently, there has been news from the New World that the Black Crow Pirates have declared war with the Kaido Pirates. Because of this incident, it has caused a lot of turmoil, and many people around the world have been talking about this matter for a long time. Yi Chen is going to war with Kaido. Ching Pheasant's face changed slightly, a little surprised. He really hadn't watched the news recently. Yi Chen, how did they get involved with Kaido? Is it possible to step on Kaido's position? It's just that stepping on Kaido's position, isn't this choice very good? Newcomers looking for trouble with the old pirates has always been a tradition in the New World. There are quite a few of them every year. Because the pirates who can enter it are not weak, and they all have some ability, so they are a little overconfident in their hearts, and they feel that no matter who they face, they have the power to fight. But often this kind of pirate is basically drowned in history, and there is no splash at all. With the strength of Yi Chen and others, it is understandable to challenge the four emperors. After all, the strength is there, and the pheasant is not surprised. Because they have experienced the strength of these guys themselves. I know very well the strength of Yi Chen and the others. It's just that the pheasant can't figure out why Yi Chen just found Kaido. Kaido's physique is notoriously hard, and his subordinates are not weak. Yi Chen and the others may not have a chance to win against Kaido. I heard that a long time ago, Kaido let go of his words to let Galio join them, and he also wanted to kill Yi Chen and them. Maybe Yi Chen and they knew the news and declared war on Kaido. Yi Chen's declaration of war is also reasonable. The yellow ape said lightly. It's not that complicated, he knows a little bit about it. It's just a bunch of pirates infighting, let them destroy themselves. HMPH. Akainu said in a cold voice with a gloomy face and expressionless face. The infighting between the pirates and the pirates was of no interest to him. He even wished that these guys would lose both, or even all of them die, so that he wouldn't have to deal with these guys later. Ha 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 ha, this guy Yi Chen is really unscrupulous, and he started a war with Kaido before he entered the New World, and he really has the courage. Kapu laughed and took the senbei in his hand and took it and ate it. The crane next to him glanced at Carp and said lightly, it's really a bit troublesome for the two sides to go to war, and now Kaido has also responded, most of the two sides will go to war, it's inevitable. And the impact of this war is very large, no matter which side wins, it will be enough to change the pattern of the entire New World. Win or lose, Yi Chen and Kaido's war is powerful enough. If Kaido wins, his fame will be even greater, and his dominance over the New World will also increase. If Yi Chen wins, it will be terrible, and it is very likely that he will step on Kaido's corpse and walk to the position of the four emperors. Become the youngest of the four emperors. History. Until that time, Yi Chen can use the reputation of the four emperors to recruit talents and supplement his power. In a very short period of time, the power can be increased to the same level as the four emperors. Mr. Sengoku, since they are at war, what is the attitude on our side? Are we going to war too? The pheasant looked lazy and looked at Sengoku and asked. He wanted to know the attitude of the navy, or the attitude of the world government. Meantime, all eyes were on Sengoku. Although the battle of the pirates, this has nothing to do with us, but the meaning of the world government is to ask us to have someone go over. If we find that there is a chance to kill Yi Chen, then do it. Speaking of this, Sengoku paused for a moment and said in a deep voice, of course, if you are not 100% sure, your identity cannot be revealed. Mr. Sengoku, I'm not suitable for this task, my abilities are easily exposed. The pheasant decisively refused. If you want to sneak attack, his ability is not suitable at all. I know this. Sengoku nodded, and then looked at the yellow ape. Almost at the same time, the eyes of the rest of the people also looked at the yellow ape. Many eyes looked over, and the yellow ape, who was originally yawning, suddenly stiffened there. His face changed slightly. The yellow ape's expression darkened, and he said, Mr. Sengoku, I think it's most appropriate to give this task to CPO. They are proficient in assassination, each of them is an assassination king, and no one is more suitable than them. Sneak attack, assassination, this kind of action is really not suitable for him. And the task was too dangerous for him to paddle at all. Run to assassinate. There was absolutely no way for the yellow ape to agree. Not to mention that it will damage his identity. The main thing is that it is too dangerous. Once the two sides start a war and the battlefield opens, it will be difficult for him to get close to those monsters. Not to mention anything else, as long as his ability is exposed, others will know that he is coming. The natural ability is too conspicuous. Yellow ape, there is no way around this. Sengoku pondered for a moment and explained, the high-end combat power in front of you, only your ability is suitable. The abilities of the pheasant and the Akainu are too conspicuous, and the speed is also slow. Once the mission fails, it will be difficult to get out. But your abilities are different, and even if you are discovered, no one will be able to catch up with you. Shining fruit, speed dominates the world. Except for some special devil fruit abilities, such as Thunder Fruit, are suspected of being able to reach the rules, it is basically impossible to catch up with the yellow ape. And Kaido and Yi Chen are not famous for their speed. It was really discovered, and the yellow ape could indeed leave the battlefield quickly. And this is the order of the 5 old stars. I can't help the yellow ape. They ordered us to have a general with combat power to shoot, and at the same time, CP0 also has high-end combat power, you can rest assured. Sengoku shook his head. This was the order of the 5 old stars, and he couldn't refute it. After all, the Navy is just a dog of the world government, and any orders must be obeyed, especially the Admiral. Mr. Sengoku, I'm injured. I've fought Kaido before. The yellow ape said helplessly. Some struggles. This kind of task, he really didn't want to perform. Hear this. Sengoku said decisively. The autonomy of this task is yours. If you can do it, you can do it. If you don't have the opportunity to do it, you can choose not to expose it. They are asking for a one-hit kill. If you are sure that you can't kill Yi Chen and them, then don't make a move, the choice is yours. Hear this. The yellow ape was very helpless, this couldn't be refused. I've taken on this task. Although it was very reluctant, there was no way. Who made the generals obey the world government and obey the Draconians? It's just that the position of Admiral is playing the role of CP0, which is rare in history. Some don't see the light. The other side. New World. Red-haired pirates. On deck. The redhead took the latest information, read it carefully, a smile rose on the corner of his mouth, and said, "What an incredible newcomer, it is amazing enough to repel the 3 major generals, I didn't expect to start a war with Kaido as soon as I entered." Beckman next to him said lightly, "They even dare to kill the celestial dragons, there is nothing they dare not do, and it is expected to declare war on Kaido. Killing the celestial dragons in the Chambord Islands is not a dare that few people have. Even they didn't dare, not afraid. Instead, they killed the celestial dragons, which caused too much trouble, and they were a little disgusted with trouble. After all, if you kill the celestial dragons, you will be targeted. The behemoth of the world government, even if they are the 4 emperors, they do not dare to act rashly. That's right, I suddenly want to meet this young man." Shanks laughed, his eyes twinkling with meaning. It's been a long time since a young man with such courage has appeared. Beckman took a drag on his cigarette and said lightly, "They're going to war in the Moon Country. If you want to meet, we can go over and have a good time. Anyway, the land of the moon is not far from us. The sea where the Moon Country is located is indeed not far from what they are now. If you want to rush over, it is estimated that it will be enough in a few days." Shanks thought for a moment, shook his head and said, "Forget it, this is a war between the 2 of them, and we can't join it. Leave this kind of thing to them to solve. I believe that sooner or later, I will be able to meet those guys. Kaido can't stop their path." Hear this. Beckman's indifferent face showed a hint of a smile, and said, "After all, they killed the celestial dragons in the Chambord Islands, and they were able to repel the 3 major generals and retreat with their whole body. With this strength, Kaido may not be able to win. What Yi Chen and the others did, they might not be able to do it. This is enough to show Yi Chen's strength." The Whitebeard pirates got the message. Whitebeard held Kong Yunch, the corners of his mouth raised a hint of arc, and said with a wild smile, "Gulala, the little ones set sail to the land of the moon, I want to see this man with my own eyes." Marco next to him smiled, "Daddy, do you want to take them as sons?" "I do have the idea." Whitebeard grinned and decisively admitted. No one heard what Yi Chen and the others were doing and was unmoved. Kill the Draconians. Forced back the 3 major generals. Declare war on the 4 emperors. Whatever it is a shocking event that shocks the whole world. This kind of thing is enough for any person to make him famous all over the world, and all things come together. It's even more striking. It will make countless people wonder what kind of person is to have such a pride and make such a decision. The other side. Wano Country. Kaido sat on the front seat, a newspaper in his hand, and looked at it carefully. A moment later, Kaido crushed the information, stood up suddenly, looked gloomy, faced the generals below, and said in a cold voice, "You also know the news of the Black Crow pirates, they have openly declared war on us. Since they dare to declare war, then we will accompany them to the end, gather troops to the Moon Country, and bite them to pieces." The thing about the declaration of war. It has caused a sensation all over the world, and countless people have been moved by it. The land of the moon. Located in the heart of the New World. Due to its special location, the moon country is extremely prosperous, and with Kaido's protection, basically no one dares to make trouble in the moon country. It's just that after the declaration of war appeared, the prosperity of the moon country is not there. Countless people have left from the moon country, and even the royal family of the moon country does not dare to stay here. Because it's become a battlefield. It may be the biggest battlefield in recent years, or even a decade. The news of the declaration of war broke. A week later, the entire moon country went to the empty building, leaving only a special group of people, who were the ones who witnessed this battle. It's just that the number of people is not very large. At this time, a huge figure suddenly appeared, hovering in the air, and the huge figure almost enveloped the entire moon country. Yi Chen is here, this is Galio. Is it finally here? I heard that Kaido is also on the way, so it probably won't take long to arrive. It's finally about to kick off. I don't know who will win this battle. I heard that Kaido's cadre Drought Jack has arrived in the moon country, and now Yi Chen and they have also arrived. I wonder if there will be a fight between the two sides. It's hard to say, neither side is a good talker. Maybe the battle between the two sides will begin. Drought Jack. He was ordered to arrest Nagalio at the beginning, but Galio's whereabouts were mysterious and he couldn't find it, and then Yi Chen declared war. Drought Jack went straight to the land of the moon. Some time ahead of most of Kaido's. At this time, in a palatial palace, the burly Jack of Drought sits on it. There's a pirate scurrying down there. Hurriedly reported, Lord Jack, Galio of the Crow Pirates has arrived, and maybe the entire Crow Pirates have also arrived. Shout. Drought Jack stood up suddenly, looked gloomy, and said in a cold voice, these guys have finally arrived. Boss Kaido, when are they going to arrive? It may take another day or two. Hearing that it would take a day or two, Jack pondered for a moment and said, let's all gather together and meet this arrogant rookie pirate group. Hear this. The pirates below were stunned and hurriedly said, Lord Jack, Lord Kaido hasn't arrived yet, it's a little wrong for us to meet them now. After all the other parties' combat power is there. The opponent can repel the three major generals. That's telling. The high-end combat power is very powerful. And on their side, there is only one Drought Jack is enough, and the rest of them are nothing. If it passes now, they may be annihilated. It can even be said that 100% will be destroyed. Because strength is not a level. I know that, I just want to meet these guys. Drought Jack glared at the pirate, and then said coldly, what are you still doing standing there? Yes. Hearing this, the pirate retreated reluctantly. The other side. Galio landed in a plaza in the land of the moon. Almost at the same time, Yi Chen and Estes jumped. Feet on the ground. In an instant, the system's prompt sounds. Ding, congratulations to the host for successfully signing in and getting the reward for slashing the ghosts. Almost instantly, a huge wave of knowledge poured into Yi Chen's mind. It's all the basic abilities of the Grim Reaper. It's just an ability derived from all the basic abilities of the Death World. For example, all the moves of the Ghost Knife and the White Fight and other moves are in it. For example, the Knight is a special White Fight. That's a good reward. Yi Chen smiled slightly. This reward may not be as good as before, but it is not bad. At least it gave him a little more means. For example, the instantaneous step gives him an advantage in battle, and the many moves in the Ghost Path also make him stronger. Breaking the Path and Binding the Path are all good abilities. Captain, why are there so few people here? Doesn't it mean that the land of the moon is quite prosperous? Galio looked at the silence around him, without any figures, which made him feel a little puzzled. According to the information they got earlier, the land of the moon is quite prosperous, and it is considered a medium-sized country in the New World. And the population is also quite large. There are millions of people. And now, as the central square of the island, there is not even a single person. It's weird. People are probably gone. Estes glanced around and explained, this is about to become a battlefield between us and Kaido, and the people of the moon country are probably scared after hearing the news, so they should have left during this time. But it's fast enough to leave. It's been less than a week since we declared war, and there's no one here. A week's time. Almost 1 million people are leaving the island, which is amazingly fast. And this is still an island, not on land. The only way to leave is by boat. If you want to let millions leave in a week, you don't know how many ships you need. But even so, the people of the land of the moon are all gone. This execution is a bit powerful. Galio, go grab someone and see what's going on here. Yi Chen said to Galio. Hearing this, Galio nodded, and then left the place. Galio was about to get up. Rumble. There was a roar in the distance, as if a group of legions were coming this way, and the whole ground trembled. Kaido's people. Yi Chen saw that his domineering aura dispersed, and he immediately sensed that a group of people were coming in the distance, and the direction of coming happened to be from their side. It didn't take long. A moment later, Drought Jack and a group of pirates walked far away. There were quite a few of them, there were dozens of pirates. And the breath of each pirate was not simple, far from being comparable to the ordinary pirates of the first half of the Great Voyage. Drought Jack. A glint flashed in Yi Chen's eyes. As one of the 3 major cadres under Kaido's command, Drought Jack Yi Chen was extremely familiar. However, although this guy is one of the 3 calamities, his strength is far inferior to the former Flame Calamity Ember and Plague Quint. But even so, it is an extremely powerful combat power in the New World. Otherwise, he would not have become one of Kaido's 3 cadres, and Kaido is also one of the 4 emperors anyway. To be able to become his cadre, the strength is definitely not simple. It's just that this is just for ordinary people. For people of Yi Chen's level, Drought Jack is nothing. You're the Crow Pirates. Drought Jack walked ahead, strong, like a little giant, looked at Yi Chen and the others condescendingly, and said coldly, except for that Galio, you don't look very good. Galio's physique is beyond doubt, even if Drought Jack himself is small in front of Galio. But Yi Chen and Estes looked too petite, although their height and size were not bad among ordinary people. But in front of Drought Jack, he still looks a little petite. After all, this guy has a height of 3 or 4 meters, and his physique is stout, which is not comparable to ordinary people. Plus, the aura on Yi Chen and Estes was very flat, and there was no oppressive aura like a strong man. Although he heard that Yi Chen and the others were very strong, the first time they met, the aura of the 2 made Drought Jack disagree. It's just that it's blowing badly outside, and it's far less powerful than it rumors. Airplanes. Hearing Drought Jack's words, Galio and Estes didn't look right. In particular, Estes's face was cold, and a biting cold air bloomed all over his body, and the temperature around him suddenly dropped to freezing. The ground beneath his feet began to freeze with frost that was visible to the naked eye. Drought Jack angered them. Yi Chen was a little speechless. Although I knew that Jack had some problems with the drought, he didn't expect to be so stupid. Kaido hadn't come yet, and they all ran over to taunt him. Is this guy doing it on purpose, or is he dying? Yi Chen didn't understand it. But he didn't need to figure it out. The hosts. Quote. Galio and Estes both looked at Yi Chen. They were waiting for Yi Chen's order. Drought Jack's remarks undoubtedly angered them. Kill him. Quote. Yi Chen looked indifferent and said, just give Kaido a gift, and this guy died by himself, no wonder we can't blame. Quote. As soon as this remark came out, both Galio and Estes couldn't help but smile. I'll do it. Quote. Galio walked out slowly, his honest smile retracted, and gradually became cold, and he said with murderous intent, I want to crush this guy with my own hands. Quote. Hear this. Estes hesitated for a moment, then nodded slowly. Ha 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 ha, crush me. Hearing that Galio was about to pinch him to death, Jack Drought laughed wildly and said, who gave you confidence? Enough to kill you. Quote. Galio stepped on the ground and rushed out, and under the pressure of the huge force, the ground cracked directly. Countless cracks went in all directions, forming a huge cobweb. The wind is blowing. Galio was fast, like a bolt of lightning running through it. It's so fast. Quote. Drought Jack's pupils narrowed, and Galio was far faster than he expected, which was somewhat inconsistent with his size. Boom. The huge Galio appeared in front of Drought Jack, and threw a punch, and under the cover of the armed domineering, the terrifying aura erupted, rolling up a stream of air, sweeping away in all directions like a hurricane. Galio's size was so large that it seemed to cover the sky and the sun, shrouding everyone in shadow. See this scene. Kaido's pirates were a little frightened, What kind of speed is this, coming in front of them in the blink of an eye? It's not scientific. After all, the size is so huge. It's not for nothing that someone as big as Galio is. There are quite a few giants. But someone as fast as Galio doesn't have one in the giants. Galio was so fast that they couldn't react. Fortunately, Galio wasn't targeting them. It's Drought Jack. The speed is very good, but if you want to kill me, the strength is still a little bit worse. Quote. Drought Jack licked his mouth and laughed maniacally. Seeing Galio so fast, my heart was even more excited. Drought Jack's reaction speed was fast, and the moment Galio approached, he reacted almost instinctively, covered with a domineering weapon, and blasted out with a punch. Boom! The fists collided together and erupted into an amazing roar. The terrifying power erupted, and the ground under the feet of the two exploded, blasting out a small hole. The violent storm rushed out, blowing the surrounding crowd directly away, and no one could stand. The strength of the two is too terrifying, and the aftermath of the battle is not something that ordinary pirates can compete with. Even though the strength of these pirates of Drought Jack is good, compared to Galio and Drought Jack, I don't know how many levels are worse. What kind of power is this? It is stronger than me. Quote. At the moment when the two fists collided, Drought Jack's face suddenly changed drastically, and he felt a terrifying power coming from Galio's fist, and in the face of this force, the power he was confident in was not worth mentioning. Meanwhile, Galio erupted, and the terrifying power burst out, and the huge force crushed Drought Jack, and his fist exploded like a cannonball. Click. Galio knocked Drought Jack's arm out with a punch, and the sound of a broken bone sounded, and after breaking the arm, a casserole-sized fist landed on Drought Jack's face. Bang! Drought Jack's face twisted and deformed, and several teeth with blood splattered out, and then the whole person was knocked out. Flew upside down for dozens of meters and crashed directly into the building next to it. Lord Jack. Quote. Lord Jack. Quote. Seeing Drought Jack being sent out in an instant, the faces of the pirates changed greatly, and they shouted worriedly at the opposite of Drought Jack flying out. At the same time, quite a few people were heading over there. As soon as the two fought, Drought Jack was instantly defeated, which was something that no one expected. Although they knew that Galio was extremely powerful. But the Drought Jack is not weak either. They thought that the strength of both men was against it. Who knows? The difference in strength between the two sides was so large that in a matter of moments, Drought Jack was knocked away, apparently crushed by Galio's power. Now Kaido hasn't come over yet, and the strongest on their side is Drought Jack, if Drought Jack is not Galio's opponent. Their situation will be extremely dangerous. That's why these pirates were so worried after Drought Jack was knocked away. Your life is at stake. They have to worry. I'm fine. Quote. Drought Jack crawled out, his face not very good looking. The metal on his mouth was shattered by Galio. Now that Jack has lost his metal, his sharp teeth look a little weird. Galio, yes, the power is really strong. Quote. No wonder Boss Kaido wants you to join. Quote. Drought Jack wiped his mouth and said rampantly, I admit your strength. Quote. You can join our beast pirates. Quote. As soon as this remark came out, Galio was a little speechless. What's the matter with this guy? I was defeated. There is still such arrogance. My strength needs to be recognized by him. Could it be that this guy still thinks he is better than me? The other side. Estes pointed to Drought Jack and said strangely, Captain, is there something wrong with this guy's brain? She couldn't understand that Jack the Drought had been defeated by Galio. For this kind of thing, ordinary people should feel very angry, and even feel very ashamed. Basically, they will say some cruel things. Drought Jack seems to have a different mind, but he is happy, and at the same time says that he recognizes Galio's strength and allows Galio to join them. That's weird. It seems as if the person who was shot away was Galio and not Drought Jack himself. This guy. There is indeed something wrong with the brain. Quote. Hearing Estes's words, Yi Chen didn't know how to answer. Drought Jack's brain circuits are indeed different from those of ordinary people. It's kind of stupid. I don't need your approval for my strength. Quote. Galio said, and I'm not going to join the beast pirates. Quote. You're not worthy. Quote. Between words, Galio rushed out, covered with an armed domineering fist, which looked extraordinary and terrifying. Hubris. Quote. Hearing Galio say that their pirate group didn't deserve him to join, Drought Jack was furious. The figure burst into a ray of light, and the size began to skyrocket. Almost instantly, a huge mammoth appeared in front of everyone. Fauna, elephant fruit, ancient species mammoth. After transforming into a mammoth, Drought Jack not only skyrocketed in size several times, but also his breath. Mammoth impact. Drought Jack ran, his massive body like a cannonball, and swept away with a terrifying impact. After transforming into a mammoth, Drought Jack's strength was terrifying, and the ground shook as he ran. The earth shook as if there had been a great earthquake. Righteous punch. In the face of the impact of Drought Jack, Galio was not afraid at all. His hands condensed his armed color domineering, and his fists rushed towards Drought Jack. His power is extremely terrifying, and there are not many people who can compare to it, and it is true that Drought Jack uses the Devil Fruit ability. But Galio still felt that this guy's strength was not as good as his. Boom. Galio hammered his fists into Drought Jack's head, like a giant sledgehammer, and smashed it into Drought Jack's head. Galio's strength was undoubted, and he smashed his fists on the head, and Jack the Drought had a look of pain on his face and screamed miserably. Bang! Drought Jack fell to the ground, and the force of the impact blasted the ground apart, splattering stones, and billowing smoke. It's over. Quote. Galio's face was cold, looking at Drought Jack lying on the ground, his fist condensed the armed color domineering, and punched Drought Jack's head. Looking at the huge fist in front of him, Drought Jack had a look of surprise in his eyes. He was about to say something. However, Galio didn't give him a chance at all. A punch to his head. Rumble. A deafening sound sounded, and the ground under the feet of the two exploded with a bang, and a hole hundreds of meters long suddenly appeared. Under the pothole, Drought Jack has lifted the devil fruit and returned to his normal form, lying on the ground, covered in blood. He lay there limply. Galio was hit twice hard, leaving him a little weak. Galio grabbed him. Quote. This was Yi Chen's voice. Good captain. Quote. Hearing this, Galio grabbed Jack of the Drought on the ground, who looked like a dead body, and flew upwards. Galio's punch just now was extremely terrifying. The entire ground was shattered, and it fell directly for tens of meters. It was as if a meteorite had fallen, blasting the entire ground open. Fly to the top. Boom. Galio threw Drought Jack to the ground in front of Yi Chen, and then he landed next to Yi Chen and said, Captain, this guy is average in strength and a little vulnerable. Quote. It's not as good as those guys in Akainu. At first, I saw the Drought Jack so arrogant. How strong did he think this guy was? Who knows, so weak. Far from what he could compare to the generals. This guy's strength is average. Hearing that Galion compared the Red Dog with the Drought Jack, Yi Chen smiled. And you compare the Red Dog with him, it's a bit insulting to the Red Dog. Quote. Akainu is an admiral, and he is also an extremely terrifying existence among admirals. And Drought Jack is Kaido's cadre. But the strength is inevitably not at the level of a general, and it is not a small distance from the estimate of the level of a general. Compare him to Akainu. It's really a bit insulting to Akainu. Akainu is not that weak. Master Jack has been arrested, what do we do now? What else can you see? Seeing that Drought Jack was captured, the rest of the 100 beast pirates were anxious, but these people didn't dare to say anything. You can only watch dryly. Now Drought Jack is no match, and if they do it, they will only be sent to death. Instead of doing something, it is better to pray that Kaido will come soon. And Kaido is on his way. It should be soon. Meanwhile, on top of a towering building, 3 masked figures stand. One of them wore a birdman mask and looked towards Yi Chen and them with a telescope. Drought Jack really lost, he shouldn't be dead now, maybe he was in a coma. Yi Chen and they didn't do anything. With their character, it is very likely that they will wait for Kaido to come over and do it in front of Kaido in person. Quote. The man in the birdman mask pointed to the binoculars and said, These guys are not afraid of heaven and earth, and it is possible that they think so. Quote. A lazy voice sounded and said, with their character, they may have to give Kaido a dismount. Quote. But Drought Jack, that guy is also looking for death. Without Kaido, he dares to do something to Yi Chen. Drought Jack is notoriously brainless, and it's normal for him to do this. Another man wearing a tanuki mask next to him said. All 3 are members of the world government. The two of them are CP0 people, and they are also CPO cadres, and their strength is not weaker than that of the general. As for the lazy voice, it is the yellow ape. The three of them actually came to the Moon Country a long time ago, and they have been waiting for Yi Chen and Kaido to start a war. Waiting for the two sides to start a war, there is a chance to intervene, and the best result is that someone who can solve Yi Chen, or Kaido's person can also do it. They saw the Drought Jack arrive first, and they also saw the arrival of Yi Chen and the others. It's just that they're quite speechless. Although knowing the Drought Jack is a bit stupid. But I didn't expect to be so stupid. A man ran over to provoke the Black Raven pirates. If Kaido was there, this wouldn't say anything. After all, Kaido's strength is there. But now it's just Jack the Drought. This guy is pretty strong in New World. But if you compare it to the people of the Crow Pirates, it's far inferior. Because the strength of the Black Crow Pirates is at the lowest level, they are all at the level of generals. Drought Jack used to provoke. That's not looking for death. Sure enough, Yi Chen didn't need to make a move. Galio alone hammered Jack of the Drought. Regarding the Drought Jack's practice of giving away people's heads, Yellow Ape and others can only say that the rumors are indeed true, very crazy, and stupid. They could all now imagine Kaido's fury when he came and saw Jack of the Drought being caught. Kaido is almost there. Quote, "It won't be long before the two sides are about to go to war." Quote, CP0, wearing a Birdman mask, said in a deep voice. And so on. Quote, CP0, wearing a Tanuki mask, said, "When they are both defeated, we are making a move, and we must not expose our whereabouts at will." Quote, Quote, the man nodded. This time they came for the benefit of the fishermen. Wait for both sides to lose, in the net. Meanwhile, in the sea not far from the land of the moon, a huge pirate ship is coming this way, and on the ship's towering flagpole, the black pirate flag is engraved with the emblem of the 100 Beast Pirates. The Pirates of the 100 Beast Pirates. And on the bow of the ship, the massive Kaido stood above. Two figures sat beside him. One was dressed in black and wore a black mask, his eyes were calm, and his breath was cold. Ember of the Scourge. The other is a chubby pirate with black sunglasses and a somewhat obscene look. Plague Quinn. The two strongest cadres under Kaido's command. Although it has the same name as Drought Jack, it is far more powerful than Drought. Boss Kaido, information from the land of the moon. Quote, Quinn's voice was heavy, as if suppressing his anger, and he said, "The people of the Black Crow Pirates have arrived." Quote, and that guy Jack is also in the Moon Country, but that guy is looking for death and ran over to provoke the Black Crow Pirates, and now he has been defeated by the Black Crow Pirates and caught. Quote, as soon as this remark came out, Ember eyes flashed and said, "This guy is still the same as before." Quote, hear this. They weren't too surprised. Because Drought Jack has always been like this, a little arrogant, plus a little stupid. Something like this kind of giving people their heads is this guy's style. It's just that it used to be a head. After all, there are not many people who can help him. But the Crow Pirates are different. Although it's just a rookie pirate group. But the combat power is not bad, and it can compete with the three major admirals of the Navy. And now that the two sides are at war, Jack of the Drought has undoubtedly weakened their combat power. This idiot. Kaido's face darkened, and he snorted coldly, "Just treat this guy as dead." Single quote. Drought Jack's approach also made him extremely unhappy. It was okay before, there weren't many people who threatened them, and Drought Jack could do whatever he wanted. But now, facing the Drought of the Crow Pirates, Jack is so stupid, he doesn't know what to say anymore. Right when the Drought Jack died. Hear that Kaido when the Drought Jack is dead. Quinn and Ember looked calm, and nothing changed much. In this case, Drought Jack still didn't see the situation clearly, and still did it. They didn't have much of a feeling either. It's just self-inflicted. Then, one of the pirates came running up and said, "Boss Kaido, the land of the moon has arrived." Single quote. The voice fell. In front of everyone, a huge island came into view. The land of the moon has arrived. Kaido also arrived. This war is about to begin. Meanwhile, on a tall building in the land of the moon, the CP0 telescope wearing a Birdman mask said in a deep voice, "Kaido's pirates have arrived." Quote. As soon as this remark came out, Whether it was CP0 with a tanuki mask or a yellow ape with a monkey mask, his face suddenly became serious. As soon as Kaido arrived, this means that the war between the two sides is about to begin. An unavoidable war. It may even be the biggest war in decades. One is the Four Emperor Pirates. A group of pirates with 3 generals starting from the level, no matter which one of them is the top force in the world at the moment. Although there are not many people in the Black Crow Pirates, their combat power is too terrifying, and they are no longer weaker than the Four Emperor Pirates. In some people's hearts, the Black Crow Pirates are the 5th Emperor. The undisputed 5th Emperor. Kaido's pirates are close to the docks of the Moon Country. Ember soared out of the air, transforming into a pterodactyl in the air, surrounded by flames, and flew towards the land of the moon. He's fast. In the blink of an eye, he passed through most of the Moon Country. Soon, he came to the sky above the square where Yi Chen and the others were. Yi Chen, Galio, Estes, and that guy Jack. Ember in the air. Soon I saw a group of people below. The Raven Pirates are still there, and Jack the Drought collapses unconscious in front of the trio. As soon as he appeared, the yellow ape and the others immediately hid, not daring to be discovered by the embers. After all, this time, they were going to make a secret move. It is not conducive to revealing one's identity now. Meanwhile, as soon as Ember appeared, Yi Chen and the others immediately discovered him. Kaido's people are coming. Quote. Yi Chen looked at the flame calamity embers soaring in the air, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he slowly got up. The appearance of the ember of the calamity. This almost means that Kaido should be nearby. Galio and Estes were the first to notice the ember of fire in the air. These guys are finally here. Quote. Estes's eyes were full of fighting intent, and he said with a smile, I'm a little impatient to wait. Quote. Estes is a battle maniac, the most desperate of them all. Especially after being summoned by Yi Chen, she learned that Kaido and these people were the strongest people at that time, and her fighting spirit was even more sufficient. Almost immediately wanted to go to war. Especially after the battle with the 3 major generals, Estes has a great sense of expectation for Kaido and others. Hopefully these guys are as strong as those guys in Akainu. Quote. Hearing this, Yi Chen smiled, then you are a little embarrassed for them. Quote. Kaido may be a little stronger than the 3 generals, but the rest of them are hard to say, but the bird above should not be much different in strength. Quote. Ember of Fire, as Kaido's vice president. The strength is not weak. It should be a strong person at the level of a general, and if Plague Quinn is a little weaker. Hear this. Estes's eyes lit up, and he said, that guy's name is Ember of Fire, right? I'll leave this guy to me. Quote. She didn't plan to do anything with Kaido. Because she knows. This is Yi Chen's goal. Then leave the rest to me. Galio showed an honest smile, he didn't care who he faced, he was not picky about his opponents. Boom. After a long time, a roar was heard. Kaido came from a distance with a group of people. The huge figure, like a demon god, carries a huge sense of oppression. When the nearby pirates saw Kaido coming, they immediately became excited and shouted. Boss Kaido. Quote. Boss Kaido is finally here. Quote. Because of the death of Jack due to the drought, they have been afraid to speak, and they are all waiting for Kaido's arrival. Because he was afraid that he would speak, he would provoke Yi Chen and others to do something to them. Fortunately, Yi Chen and the others were not interested in them, so they could be safe and sound, but even so, they were extremely tormented. Now Kaido is here, they finally raised their eyebrows, and they didn't need to suffer as much as they had before. Kaido didn't look at those people. Instead, his eyes fell on Yi Chen and the others. Glanced at Galio and Estes, and finally his eyes fell on Yi Chen's body, and as for Drought Jack, he ignored them. I've been waiting for you for a long time, Kaido. Quote. Seeing that Kaido had already come, Yi Chen slowly got up and said with a smile, I thought you wouldn't come. Single quote. Kaido snorted coldly. Joke, who do you think Lao Su is? Lao Su is the 4 emperors Kaido, how can he be afraid of you? If it weren't for Lao Su being too far away, there would be no need for you people to wait. Quote. Hear this. Yi Chen didn't care, he got up slowly, kicked Drought Jack under his feet, and stuck a sword in Drought Jack's chest. The blade pierced Jack's heart in an instant. Burst. Jack of the Drought was awakened by a sharp pain, his mouth squirming as if he wanted to say something, but eventually he fell limply. Drought Jack died. In this moment, the atmosphere around was frozen, silent, and there was a sound of needles falling. The people of the 100 Beast Pirates all looked at Yi Chen angrily. They couldn't believe it. Yi Chen dared to kill Drought Jack in front of them. And he deliberately waited for them to arrive, and he was killing. It's a great humiliation. Pause. The faces of all the 100 Beast Pirates were not very good looking, their hearts were full of anger, and their eyes were overflowing. If the killing intent can kill, maybe Yi Chen has been dead I don't know how many times. Look for death. Kaido let out a roar, and a terrifying aura erupted from his body, and an unparalleled spiritual shockwave pierced through. Overlord Color Domineering. Hear the words. Yi Chen's expression was as usual, and a domineering aura that was not weaker than Kaido, or even stronger than Kaido, broke out. Boom. The two collided together, as if Mars had hit the Earth, creating a terrifying impact, and the wind swept up and turned into a hurricane that swept around. Above the celestial dome, the wind and clouds changed, the clouds roll, and the lightning and thunder. It was as if the end had come. Rumble. The two unscrupulous Overlord Color Domineering Chi collided together, resulting in a collision of distance, and even some cracks appeared on the ground, and the strong air waves seemed to be able to directly blow people away. Under this wave of chi, except for Quinn and Ember, the rest of the 100 Beast Pirates looked terrified, not to mention maintaining their consciousness, and they couldn't even stabilize their bodies. Yi Chen. Kaido roared angrily, and the huge Overlord Color Domineering aura suddenly increased, reaching an extremely terrifying level, which could already be compared to Yi Chen's Overlord Color Domineering. Looked at. Yi Chen's brows jumped. The Overlord Color Domineering is improved at one time, and the perfect 3-color Domineering is obtained. Yi Chen's Overlord Color Domineering is not comparable to few people, and it is estimated that the dead Roger or the Redhead can be compared with it. Although Kaido is the 4 emperors, his research on the domineering color of the Overlord is obviously not at the same level as the previous 2. If it is a fight for flesh, it is estimated that there are few people who are his opponents. But if it is the Overlord Color Domineering, Kaido is definitely not Yi Chen's opponent. With the improvement of Yi Chen's Overlord Color Domineering, the terrifying fluctuation was born, directly overpowering Kaido's Overlord Color Domineering. Rumble. As if a chemical reaction had occurred, the colliding Overlord Color exploded into a violent shock wave, shattering the ground, buildings, and everything else around it. Under the violent shock wave, all the Beast Pirates behind Kaido were unconscious and thrown out of the square at the same time. No one was spared except Kaido, Quinn, and Ash. On Yi Chen's side, Galio and Estes were as stable as Mount Tai, and their expressions did not change much at all. Although the domineering spirit of the two sides is strong, the strength of the two is not simple, and it does not have much impact. Kaido's Overlord Domineering spirit has actually fallen into disadvantage. Quote. The Yellow Ape said with some shock. In this sea, although Kaido's Overlord Domineering is not the top, there are only a handful of people who can be stronger than him, and now it is estimated that there will be one more person. Kaido's Overlord Domineering is not Yi Chen's opponent, and he obviously fell into a disadvantage, so he could only barely fight. Boom. A deafening sound rang out, and a violent shockwave rushed out, and Kaido's figure took a step back, his face ugly. Overlord Color Domineering collision. He lost. Kaido, don't waste your efforts, just your 3-legged cat's kung fu is Overlord and Domineering, and it's vulnerable in front of me. Yi Chen said with a chuckle. Hearing this, Kaido snorted coldly, his face as black as coal. He was planning to use the Overlord Color Domineering to give Yi Chen a dismount. Who knows? Yi Chen's Overlord Domineering spirit turned out to be so much stronger than him. This dismounted, on the contrary, helped the other side. Why is this guy's Overlord Domineering so strong? Kaido looked solemn. Yi Chen's Overlord Domineering spirit is too refined, and it is far stronger than him, not like someone of Yi Chen's age can have. Although Kaido's Overlord Color Domineering is not the strongest in the world, there are only a handful of people who can compare with him. And the domineering spirit of these people has undoubtedly reached that level after decades of specialized research. And Yi Chen obviously didn't take that much time. So it makes Kaido feel weird. How did Yi Chen achieve this age, and he had already developed the domineering color of the Overlord to this extent. The Overlord is domineering, it's just a useless toy, it doesn't mean anything. Kai's face turned dark, and he snorted coldly, and no matter how strong your Overlord color is, it can't stop me from killing you. Thundering gossip. Kaido waved the mace in his hand, the huge mace was pitch black, covered with armed color domineering, and the sharp fangs bloomed with cold light, towards the dazzling penetrating power, and swung directly towards Yi Chen. This is the purest mace use technique, hitting the opponent at an extremely fast speed. To say that the skill is basically none, but it has played an extremely terrifying power, swinging over, directly tearing the air, giving birth to a strong wind pressure, enough to make 99% of the people in this sea tremble. It's a combination of strength and speed, and it's a symbol of strength. There is no skill, but strength is better than everything. However, the person Kaido is facing 1% of the minority, and he is also an extremely terrifying monster, even standing at the top of this ocean. There are very few who can compete with him. Under the terrifying attack, none of the people of the Black Crow Pirates panicked, and their faces were flat, as if they didn't take Kaido's attack seriously. Yi Chen pulled out the sword, and the domineering aura of the armed color instantly covered the blade, and the black knife shone brightly, flashing with a strange light. Chang! A crisp sound resounded in everyone's hearts, and the black knife fell on the mace, and the two collided together. There was a deafening sound, and cracks continued to appear in the ground, spreading in all directions like cobwebs. Soon, a spider web hundreds of meters long emerged. Immediately followed, rumble. A terrifying roar sounded, and the entire ground exploded directly. A huge crater was blasted into the ground on both sides, hundreds of meters long. After the battle between Galio and Drought Jack, the square was already in tatters, and half of it was no longer visible. But now, the confrontation between Kaido and Yi Chen instantly turned the square into ruins and a mess. Meantime, the flame ember's eyes flashed, and his body instantly turned into a pterodactyl, and the flames rushed towards Yi Chen's direction. He seemed to be doing something to Yi Chen. However, almost instantly, in front of him, a huge wall of ice appeared, and the biting cold air spread out, and the surroundings froze at a speed visible to the naked eye. Estes walked out slowly, his eyes bursting with battle intent, and the cold air lingering around him, and said, "You crossed the line of the Ember of Fire, and that is not your battlefield." Estes. Ember looked at Estes deeply. They had already read the information of the Crow Pirates when they came. I know that Estes is powerful, and he has the same ability as a pheasant, and even his strength is not much different from that of a pheasant. It is a formidable foe. The other side. Galio appeared in front of Quinn and said honestly, "Your opponent is me." Quinn's face was heavy when he saw Galio's massive figure. This guy isn't easy to mess with. Thanks for watching.